All right, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Thomas Bagu, and I am a Community Engagement Manager with the Inclusive STEM Ecosystems for Equity and Diversity, or the IC program at AAAS. I work on the AAAS-IUSE Initiative, which is hosting today's workshop, supporting undergraduate STEM students by linking experiences with summer bridge and multi-layered mentorship. We're excited to hear from today's presenters, Dr. Lauren Griggs and Dr. Maryam Darbeheshti. Before we jump into the workshop, I have a few housekeeping notes. This presentation is being recorded. The recording and slides will be made available in the coming weeks on our website at AAAS-IUSE.org. You will also receive an email with a link to these materials. Please note, we will transition into discussion breakouts following these presentations. These breakout rooms will allow for deeper engagement and will not be recorded. Additionally, we have closed captioning for this workshop. You can download and view the full transcript by clicking the CC button at the bottom of your screen. We also ask that you please save your questions for the breakout discussions following these presentations. For those of you who are new to AAAS-IUSE, this initiative seeks to support faculty, students, and the greater undergraduate STEM education community by disseminating research and knowledge about STEM teaching, learning, equity, and institutional transformation. We invite you to learn more about the AAAS-IUSE initiative on our website and hope you will join our community as future contributors. You can also follow us on Twitter at IUSE Program and LinkedIn to stay up to date on our latest events and blogs, or to show what you've learned during today's workshop. Now I want to draw your attention to two upcoming opportunities. First, be sure to join us for our October workshop, where we will be discussing implementing active learning in undergraduate STEM courses. That workshop is taking place October 26th. And second, if you enjoy our workshop series and have a great idea for a topic that we should feature next year, then keep an eye out for our upcoming call for submissions, which will be announced later this fall. We will be seeking proposals for workshops and blogs. You will receive this announcement via email, and it will be also posted on our website. So make sure you head over to our website and subscribe to our mailing list if you have not done so already. And now we will shift over to our first presentation of the day. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Dr. Lauren Griggs. Dr. Griggs, over to you.
Thank you so much. And thank you very much to AAAS-IUSE Initiative team for selecting me to be able to present the work that we have been doing for a number of years at Penn State in developing out a summer bridge program. So again, my name is Lauren Griggs. I am a teaching professor as well as a director of the Multicultural Engineering Program and the Clark Scholars Program at Penn State in our Center for Engineering Outreach and Inclusion. And today, like I mentioned, we will be discussing one of our signature initiatives, which is our Engineering Summer Bridge Program. And so our Engineering Summer Bridge Program is part of our Multicultural Engineering Program, which has several goals and objectives related to student retention, recruitment and retention within the College of Engineering. So we really strive to foster a welcoming family-like environment for our students that celebrates culture and inclusion. We have a goal of improving the recruitment and the retention specifically of underrepresented minorities within the College of Engineering, as well as supporting students both academically as well as professionally through very impactful leadership opportunities, which both of the last two initiatives or goals will be discussed further as we dive into some of the things related to our summer bridge program. And just to mention, so our bridge program has been evolved dynamically throughout the years, dating all the way back to 1991. And so we'll talk a little bit about how we have shifted in terms of the structure of the program and how we're engaging our students within the last couple of years. So here's a snapshot of some demographic information related to the program that we ran in 2020, which was our first fully virtual engineering summer bridge program due to the landscape of what was going on. And so as you can see here, our program really highlights the recruitment of students who are underrepresented minorities, first generation students and female students. Our cohort sizes vary from year to year. They tend to be about 30 to 40 students in size. Some of our program components or highlights of our components are academic preparation. And so our students are exposed to either calculus or pre-calculus work in terms of their course structure, as well as metacognitive learning strategies. They receive peer mentoring from upper division students. They are acclimated to campus life, as well as exposed to engineering majors and science majors. And they also are able to network not only with their peers, but also with our corporate partners, as well as our alumni. So here is an example of a typical schedule that I will say is typical from the last 2 years or so. And so in our fully virtual synchronous program, the students were engaged in several different integral components of the program. We had an intense review session that was offered twice a day. Again, students were engaged in academic enhancement, and so either pre-calculus or calculus, depending on their math background, chemistry, metacognition to really teach them some fundamental learning strategies and how to really think strategically as a college student. Metacognition facilitation, which we'll dive into a little bit deeper in a later slide. They have a project challenge. And so some examples at the bottom here of the slide are some things that the students have designed for their project challenge. We engage students in enrichment programming. Some of the topics include equity and inclusion, understanding undergraduate research opportunities, engagement with our alumni, and many other really strengthening experiences that they have before acclimating to the start of their first year. We have the students take a weekly quiz, and we also evaluate the students weekly on their progress. Some of the benefits of the program are that the students earn a college credit. They develop an effective learning strategy for the start of their academic careers. They are cohorted in a special living option once they actually enter onto campus with us for first years in science and engineering, which is a really great way to continue connecting and developing the relationships that they've seeded in our engineering summer bridge program. And they also build an extensive network of lifelong friends, which is something that we are probing a bit in our most recent assessments of our students. So in terms of outcomes of our program, in the last couple of years, as I mentioned, our program really shifted to a synchronous virtual program. And so we were really curious to see what that effect would be on some of our fundamental outcomes. So things such as our participant identity. We surveyed our students on a weekly basis with a standardized assessment so that we could really see how the students would evolve over the 6-week period. And so our first outcome is our participant identity score, which is composed of 3 different components. One is the identity as a Penn State student. The next is their confidence in STEM preparation. And the last, identity as a STEM major. And as we see over time, the participant identity score steadily increases within our 6-week period. And so equally as important, especially in this virtual setting, we wanted to make sure that we were able to measure how we were able to provide community building and social integration for the students over their course of time with us throughout the summer. And so we broke this down into 2 different components that we were interested in looking at. And one is perceived mattering. And so over the course of 6 weeks, again, we surveyed students and we evaluated what their perception of mattering was over that time frame. And as you can see, in the first couple of weeks, they started at a base level. And then as the program continued at about week 4, we had a sharp increase in the students' perception of mattering and steadily increased as well to week 6 to the end of the program. And And another component of community building and connectivity is also sense of belonging. And so for sense of belonging, we really can break this down into a couple different focal areas, being peer support, faculty support, classroom comfort, isolation, as well as empathetic faculty understanding. And so again, we assessed the students or evaluated the students over each week for 6 weeks. And we saw that there was a sharp increase in the students' sense of belonging to the university, to the program, as the program evolved from week 1 to week 6. In our evaluations, we also probe students in a free response type of way. And so we asked them, what is your most significant takeaway from the program as a whole? And some excerpts here really highlight the fact that the sense of belonging and their perceived sense of mattering was very important to the students. So I'll read a couple excerpts. One student mentioned that the way many students and program assistants were able to bond and connect with each other was very special. I thought it was amazing considering it was all through Zoom. And then the sense of community that it created was a significant takeaway for the student. The program helped make a supportive family going forward into the academic school year. And again, these are students that participated in our program in the 2020, summer of 2020. And so for us, we're also really interested in further understanding what this sense of belonging and mattering, what other components may lead to the participants' elevated sense of belonging over this 6-week period. And so we look at the structure of how we integrate our upper division students in leadership roles throughout the summertime. And this is ongoing work that we're currently assessing. But one fundamental change that we made in the beginning of our 2020 Summer Bridge program was really to restructure how we utilize our program assistants. And so we select program assistants who have been previous participants in the Engineering Summer Bridge program, who are rising second-year students. So they are near peers to the current participants. And in the past, they served in a separate role as a residential program assistant, but going into a fully virtual synchronous program, we wanted to make sure that the program assistants had very distinct focal areas that they had autonomy over. And so we designed 4 different areas for them to really mold and shape to their liking. And these 4 areas are academics. And so we had a couple of academic program assistants that really assisted our instructors and our facilitators in making sure that the participants understood all of the material that they were being exposed to over the summer, whether that be our calculus or chemistry work. We have program assistants really focused on community building. And so that's designing really engaging experiences for the students. So it might be fun games that they play virtually, or they might have in-depth conversations on what it's like to be a college student, but they really foster that interconnectivity between the participants and the upper division students. We have program assistants that serve as metacognition facilitators. And so we have a course that the students take over the 6-week period. And one time each week, our metacognition facilitators are kind of debriefing with the students, right? What did you learn in your class this week? And how can you implement it from a student perspective? So they, again, are near peers and they're able to share their perspectives on, what they learned as participants the previous year and how they were able to implement that throughout their academic career during their first year in the College of Engineering with us. And then last but absolutely not least, we have our robotics program assistants. And these students really take ownership over the design challenge that the students engage with. They work in conjunction with our partners at the Applied Research Laboratory to help design a dynamic session for students to really work on team building skills understand how to utilize programming such as SolidWorks, and really enhance their communication skills, which is a really strong piece of the Engineering Summer Bridge program. And so to prepare our program assistants, we really wanted to make sure that we expose them to a dynamic set of training in our week prior to the launch of our 6-week program. And so our program assistants were exposed to mentorship training. They had a speaker from our counseling and psychological services department. We had them understand some Title IX and violence prevention. They were also exposed to public speaking skills. And so a lot of them, this is the first time that they've really facilitated any sort of course in front of their near peers. And so that was a really big piece for them, is to really understand how to better become a better public speaker. They had conflict resolution training, sense of belonging training. We had a really dynamic session where we set goals as a staff. So with our instructors, our staff, as well as our upper division program assistants. And then we taught the students how to respond to reflections, which we'll talk a little bit in the next slide or two. And so with their individual focal areas, the students also had, all of the program assistants also had the responsibility of being a mentor, or essentially having a mentor team. And so each week, the students would connect with their mentor team. And so that would be about 3 to 5 participants per mentor team, and they would engage them in conversations around what we like to call the rose, thorn, bud activity. And so they implemented this depending on their preferences, but essentially what they would do is they would go through each of their participants' weeks and ask them, what was their rose, what was something that happened positively for them during that week. What was a thorn or a challenge that they experienced throughout the week, and then what is something that could be considered a bud or something that they would look forward to throughout the week. And this really helped us as a staff, as we would have staff meetings every week and then go through each student's rosebud thorn and understand where all of our students were in the essence of our program throughout the 6 weeks. And students, the program assistants also would respond to student reflections. And so along with their mentor family team meetings, the participants uploaded a video reflection every week where they responded to a set of prescribed questions that we had for them. And the questions related to things such as challenges, their learning process, how they were forming habits, what resources they were utilizing, interactions and engagements that they had throughout the week, and relationship building. And so these are some excerpts from one of our 2020 program assistants in their response to a video reflection that their mentee has uploaded. And so the first reads, "I love your goals. You will accomplish every single one. Speak it into existence. Keep looking for your why as well. Oftentimes, your goals will help shape your why. Once you find it, use it to drive and encourage yourself. You will always have support in everything that you do from your community. I hope that, I promise that. I'm so proud of how far you've come. You are going to be great in college and beyond." And a very similar quote is also on the screen here, but really to showcase that the program assistants were very fundamental in encouraging our participants and really creating that sense of belonging for them as they went through their 6-week journey. And then at the very end of the program, the program assistants also submit a video reflection in kind of giving us an overview of what their experience was like as a leader in the program, and especially in conjunction to how they experienced being a participant in the program. And so one question that we asked for them to respond to in their reflections is to compare their experience in the program now as a leader with their experience in the program as a participant. And so this is a small excerpt from one of the videos uploaded by a program assistant from this past summer in 2021.
So as a leader, it's definitely a different experience. I had a lot more fun as a PA than I did as a mentee, but that's simply because I was able to initiate the conversations, and like I just felt a lot more secure in myself, and I was like, okay, I need to step up and really, you know, if I don't start the conversation, nobody will. So it's been really fun getting to know the students, and I think as a mentee, I clicked with a few mentors and a few other mentees. But I feel like as a PA, you kind of have an overall connection with everyone. And it's really nice. I enjoyed it both summers, and I don't know, I think it's been one of the most rewarding experiences that I've ever had in my life.
So that excerpt really showcases the fact that as the students progress and become leaders in the program, their connectivity really has a ripple effect. And so another quote from one of these videos from another 2021 program assistant reads, "Everyone encouraged everyone. As a leader in this situation, I felt like I fit and that I belonged because I was bringing something to the table. It felt really nice to feel important to the program." And so for us as staff kind of evaluating these reflections, it was really heartwarming for us to see and to hear how the program assistants as upper level student leaders also were engaged in exploring their sense of belonging, right, and their mattering. And so something that we will discuss a little bit later as a key takeaway is really how we thread that sense of belonging throughout the entire program, from our participants all the way through our upper level student leaders. And so some of our key takeaways from our time in implementing and our reinventing our engineering summer bridge program to be in this virtual format was really to engage in collaborative goal setting. And so this is collaborative goal setting between the instructors, the staff, as well as our upper division program assistants, in that this assists us in program value alignment and in learning outcome development. A next takeaway is that program assistants having focal areas to contribute to really gave them a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging, and enhanced their leadership skills throughout the summertime. And last but not least, our program assistants leadership reinforces a sense of belonging and mattering for themselves as well as for the students. This is something that we're hoping to assess, or in progress of assessing, as we continue to reiterate and engage in our program. I'd like to give some acknowledgements, especially to some folks who are on the call today that will be helping to assist in the workshop this afternoon. And so our newest addition to the team has been Dr. Erin Mattingly, as you can see on the bottom there. And Dr. Mattingly is our Assistant Director for the Multicultural Engineering Program, and has been very integral in this past year in our Summer Bridge development. Dr. Kathy Cohen, who is an assistant research professor in the Center for Engineering Outreach and Inclusion, as well as Dr. Carmen Vanderhoof. And Dr. Cohen and Dr. Vanderhoof will be with us in our workshops as well this afternoon. And lastly, I'd like to acknowledge some of our funding sources, both internal to Penn State as well as external. And so our Penn State Equal Opportunity Planning Committee Fund, our Clark Foundation, our Clark Scholars Program, the National Society of Black Engineers, and the National Science Foundation for supporting our Summer Bridge program.
Thank you, Dr. Griggs. We appreciate you being here today and sharing your Summer Bridge program with us. As a reminder to the audience, be sure to write down any questions you have during the presentations and hold them for our breakout rooms. I would now like to welcome our next speaker, Dr. Darbeheshti, to the virtual stage.
Thank you, Thomas. And thank you, Lauren. And also I would like to thank AAAS-IUSE for arranging this workshop so that we can share our experiences with our colleagues throughout the United States. Okay, let's get started. My name is Maryam Darbeheshti. I'm an assistant professor of mechanical engineering at University of Colorado, Denver. Joining me today are my two graduate research assistants, William Shupa and Greg Simon, who will be facilitating with me in the breakout sessions. We'll be talking about the layered mentorship program in this presentation. So today's presentation will cover these topics. We'll have an introduction to our context and the structure of the layered mentorship program, the data collection and data analysis, our current research focus, and our future research plans. So let's get into an overview of where and how our programs started. We have two relatively new programs at the University of Colorado, Denver. The first one is the Engineering Learning Community. This is a program that we are in our 6th year now. Layered Mentorship Program, or LMP, is basically part of a NSF award, a STEM award, and we are in our 3rd year of that program. For the ELC, or the Learning Community, Engineering Learning Community, the main components of our program are introduction of a multidisciplinary hands-on course to the freshman students, inclusion of faculty mentors into the program, and also introduction of a cohort model of shared courses that students will take during their 1st year at CU Denver Engineering. So we started this piloting this program ELC in 2016. We started with 18 students. They were mainly mechanical engineering students. And as the courses that we offered for the cohort, we offered a design course or multidisciplinary design course and a Calculus 1 course. And then we introduced the TAs and peer advocate leaders into the program. In 2017, we almost doubled the number of students still in mechanical engineering. We introduced a pre-calculus course into the cohort, and also a writing course. And for the 2nd semester in the spring, we also added a computer-aided design and drafting course into the learning community. In 2018, we applied for a STEM grant, and we were awarded the grant. This is a multi-institutional grant. We are closely collaborating with 2 of our colleagues, 2 of our institutions at Memphis, University of Memphis, and University of Purdue. And this allowed us to give 2 years of scholarship, $10,000 per year to financially eligible and talented 1st year and 2nd year students. Throughout this presentation, I will call these students who received the scholarship as STEM scholars. And in 2019, we started introducing the concept of layered mentorship program. And we have evolved through the years, and our program is different this year than it was last year and the year before. So every year we've learned and we have improved our program. We also have a Bridge Week program. It's only 1 week, not 6 weeks, but it's also student design and student led. We are now into the 3rd year of layered mentorship program and the Bridge Week program for freshmen and 2nd year students. And this year we have again improved our program, and we basically increased the focus on student-driven design of the program, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So what you see here is a diagram of the layered mentorship program. We're showing you the different layers of our program. So currently we have 28 proteges. That's the top layer, and to us, one of the most important layers of the program. 9 of these proteges are STEM scholars, meaning they are receiving a total of $20,000 for 2 years from the NSF program. Then the next level are the mentors. We have 9 mentors. They're all 2nd year STEM scholars who were proteges last year. We have 2 lead mentors, and they are upper division undergraduate students who are paid student employees and who are primarily responsible for coordinating mentor meetings and our Bridge Week. And then the next level is our 3 amazing graduate students. They are doctoral students from the College of Education and College of Engineering. We have 2 graduate students from the College of Education and 1 from the engineering. We also have 4 research faculty. And these faculty come from different disciplines, from engineering, from the Department of Math, and from the School of Education and Human Development. And finally, the layer that all the students basically is available to all students is the existing supports from the university and the system, academic and social supports that everyone receives. As we'll discuss in the next 2 slides, a primary focus of the LMP is using student input to inform iterative design. One of the unique features of the layered mentorship program is the intention of the program to benefit all participants in different layers throughout the reflection and prediction. The layers in the layered mentorship program speak to a series of kind of overlapping near-peer relationships that are intended to leverage the likelihood of recent shared experiences between the peers. This approach basically minimizes the differences in positional power, and as far as the meetings go, each of these pairs that you see here, they meet on a weekly basis. And given a high degree of autonomy in work, they are assigned and also encouraged to experiment in initiatives of their own design, so that they can basically work on what they have actually owned as their design. And liaising between the GRAs and the mentors, a lead mentor might reflect on recent experiences, both as a protege and as a mentor, while developing the informed predictions about how research goals might better be enacted. And the insights from these overlapping connections are basically the key to coming up with multiple design innovations throughout these past 3 years that we are running the program. Another unique feature of the layered mentorship program is the approach we use to stable research data collection. So our initial research, which was published, presented and published in AAAS-IUSE conference in 2021, considered the relationship between participation in the layered mentorship program and academic success. And then later on, as our research considerations broaden, we maintain interest in our student academic success and retention rates, and will continue to collect the data relating to this. The origination of the conversations between different layers of student participants and the research team have led us to emergent data collection. So, and that has a great impact on how we collect the data and how we look at the data as a result of these interactions between different layers. An example of this, which we'll look at in a greater detail shortly, began with our lead mentors who identified the importance of giving the proteges the greater agency in determining the discussion points in their protege mentor meetings. And this led to readily available new data on the alignment between proteges meeting goals and what they ended up discussing with the mentors. Here is one of our ELC students commenting on his experience. He served as both a protege and a mentor in our program.
The students someone to talk to, and it allows them to feel like their voice is being heard. It also provides students with a support system to fall back onto if they're feeling overwhelmed with their classes. As an upperclassman, it allows me to impart some of my experience onto new students so they don't make the same mistakes that I made. Mentoring made me more humble, it made me a better listener, and it made me less judgmental. It also made me, as a leader, look at myself and my own academic performance and studying habits and reflect on that. I'm very grateful to have been a mentor for the ELC and also have been a member of the ELC myself.
Okay, moving on, here is a snapshot of our schedule for fall 2021 between the proteges and mentors, and this is their schedule. So as you see, they meet 10 times during the semester, and they meet 10 times during the semester. These meetings are semi-structured meetings. Mentors likewise meet 10 times with the lead mentors to discuss how collectively better address the individual and group protege needs. As you see in here in the schedule, we have 2 entire group meetings that have a mentor designed and facilitated activity or project. And those 2 group meetings are meetings number 5 and meeting number 5 and number 8. And the first activity will focus on community building, and the second one will focus on projects that will be shared on a peer networking platform with students in our tri-campus research group, so that they'll get the experience of interacting with the engineering students in other schools across the country as well. Our initial research has looked at a protege participation in the mentorship program. There we go. Sorry. Okay, so in the mentorship program and how it relates with academic performance and retention of the students. So this form is a data collection form for last year in 2020. In addition to the end term grades and enrollment relied on regular progress updates from the weekly mentor project meetings. During these meetings, mentors also reflected and they filled the form to collect quantitative data on grades and how proteges were actually interacting with different support systems based on the needs and qualitative data from open-ended mentor notes. So not only we focus on the qualitative data collection, but also look at the quantitative data collection. We improved on these forms, and you'll see that in the next slide. So this is a sample of how we collect the data and how we basically, I mean, if, in this part of the collection Excel sheet, you see, meeting number 1 and meeting number 9. We just took those two to just give you a way to compare these two. We ask questions regarding the social issues, the academic issues, the anxiety level, any academic concerns, and we just we have one row of data collection for each of our proteges in our system. So I would also like to mention that after these mentor protege meetings, the mentors would meet with the lead mentor who will collect these data and record them and just meet again with the graduate students and the next layer, which would be the research faculty, to inform any changes that will be basically needed in the future to data and supporting of the proteges. So here what you see is a form. It says a protege weekly pre-meeting form. So in spring of 2021 into the fall of 2021, we made changes to the data collection protocols, which is intended to create a more open dialogue between proteges, mentors, and lead mentors. And before each meeting, proteges fill out the form and reporting grades, obviously, but also identifying the topics that they wish to discuss with their mentor. So this is intended to shift the conversation from being exclusively focused on grades while still requiring proteges to reflect on weekly grades and action items to consider. Similarly, the mentors fill out forms in advance of meeting with the lead mentors, which is basically this form, and they use the meeting time to develop mentorship skills based on recent data-informed needs of the proteges. So as you see, we are now focusing more on listening to the proteges and their needs, and then shape the meetings and the data collection protocols based on the needs of the proteges. So when it gets to analyzing the effectiveness of the layered mentorship program, our preliminary research looked at these two items, the retention and academic performance. And using these data, students in the layered mentorship program were compared to non-participating engineering students. And in a paper that we published and presented at the AAAS-IUSE conference this year in 2021, we had some findings of our program that we're going to share those with you. So as you see here, this is regarding the retention rates. So the first column represents non-participating engineering students. The sample size is 123. We looked at the students from fall 2019 starting population. And the second column represents layered mentorship program students who participated in the mentorship program for either one semester or 2 semesters. And the number is 23. So there was an observed, but not a significantly different number in these retention rates between the two groups. The retention rates for non-participating in LMP was 69%. And that rate compared to the students who participated in the program, it went up to 83%. And here we're showing the 2019-2020 GPA comparison. So looking at the academic performance, there was again an observable but not significant difference between the group of students who had participated in the LMP. The average was 3.287 compared to students who had not participated in the layered mentorship program with an average GPA of 3.112. So in addition to reporting the forms and collecting the data, we have also collected surveys and conducted interviews with students as they progress through our program. And later we coded these interviews, and we've noted a transitional process whereby students change both identity and behavior as they move from being a protege to a mentor. This code speaks to such a transition. So this student is a second-year peer mentor student, and they say that giving advice and leading students, when you're told to, it sort of leads into realizing that your advice is worth giving. In the first semester, I wasn't sure about how I would do as a mentor because I had never done this before. I learned over the course of the semester that advice I had was worthwhile to the mentees receiving it, and became more confident in giving it out. So using all the data we have discussed and considering this transitional process, we are trying to better understand proteges and mentors' self-identified needs and to intervene with targeted support based on those needs. Our research is focused in looking at identifying these stages of transition or development so that we can anticipate supports. Okay, thank you. This is the last slide here. I just wanted to say that in our breakout rooms, we will be discussing the ways to make the mentorship programs and your relationships with student support systems and the mutual benefit that all the participants will receive from these interactions at different layers. With that, I end my presentation.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Darbeheshti, for joining us and sharing insights from your layered mentorship program. We are now going to transition to our facilitated breakout sessions to explore these topics further. Breakout rooms are self-assigned. To enter a breakout room, please navigate to the bottom of your screen and select the Breakout Rooms button and click the room that you would like to enter. Breakout rooms are organized by topic and the first letter of your last name. If you are interested in speaking with Dr. Griggs' group, find the groups labeled Summer Bridge and the corresponding first letter of your last name. If you're interested in discussing with Dr. Darbeheshti's group, select one of the groups labeled Mentoring and the first letter of your last name. There we go. And I think we have everyone back out of the breakout rooms. So thank you again for joining us, everyone. I am wondering if we can get our facilitators to share some quick 1-minute recaps of what their group discussed in the breakout sessions. Carmen, if you're available, can we hear from you first?
So we went a little bit off script. We were going to work on our tables, but instead we addressed a lot of Q&As. So we discussed virtual summer bridge versus residential and what kinds of outcomes we got, if we noticed any differences in those. We also discussed how to start a program with a smaller group, groups of international students, how that would work. And then what would happen if there aren't too many students of the same major? How do you pull them together and create a sense of identity? We also talked about math over the summer, squeezing that into 6 weeks. How do you place them into calc versus pre-calc? And if there was any attrition as a result of this like long intensive program. And we mentioned that the PAs really helped us with the attrition piece. There were very few people who dropped out because the PAs said, trust the program, trust the program.
That's great. So exploring a few different scenarios in the program. Well, that's great. Thanks for sharing with us. And Kathy, I have you next if you'd like to share what your group discussed.
Hello. Let's see. Okay. So we also went off script and you know, people with different bridge experiences shared their experience, and there was a lot of questions. Certainly, we talked about financial sustainability and the challenges of that, sizes of programs, how to encourage faculty to teach in these programs during the summer, and you know, the corollary to that is how do we encourage them to teach in the programs and be recognized for that service. Recruitment, how do you find students? And then we talked a little bit about the two instruments that we use, the two published surveys on sense of belonging and mattering.
Yeah, you covered a lot of ground in that session.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Next, can we hear from Lauren Griggs about what your group discussed?
Absolutely. So our group attempted to stay on script, but we also talked through our best practices from some of our colleagues who were in the breakout session, what they've done to implement their bridge programs, the different audiences that we are all serving in terms of our bridge programs. And then we did talk a little bit about challenges associated, especially with funding sources, right? So how to have a sustainable program if there is limited funding, where are some areas beyond grants that we can look towards? And then how do we leverage our alumni and potential local corporate partners in really engaging not only with funding, but also engaging the students, helping them see folks who are in these higher level positions within industry who look like them, having the students see that, really helping them to resonate with making it through the academic rigor of their program. And then we did get to our first, interactive kind of workshop facilitation. So we talked about key program outcomes, programmatic goals with different intervals of time, and then how we assess our programs.
It's great. Sounds like a very productive conversation. And then up next, can I invite Maryam and Gregory to share a discussion from their breakout session?
Yeah, we also went off script. We could not even finish what we had planned to discuss with our team in the breakout rooms, and that's fine. I mean, we will learn a lot from our colleagues in different institutions and kind of challenges that they face with their mentoring programs. And one thing that stuck to me was the training, the required training, official training for the mentors to just make sure that they understand the concept of mentoring probably people who are not in in the same category as you are defined to be in, just underrepresented minorities and different minority groups, how it's really challenging to have a mentorship program. The other thing that we discussed was a mentorship village. That was something that it was new to me, and I think I'm gonna explore more about the concept of it's not a just one-on-one interaction or a point contact. Let's work collectively through the program. Greg, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I mean, that's most of it. I'd say the only other thing that jumped out to me was this concept of the primary importance of the individual relationship, and what constitutes a good mentor match. There's so many different characteristics that, trying to find that alignment was identified, and how we go about doing that. And I guess a caveat to that was, how do you leverage those differences of experience into the design of the program itself, and into, I guess, back to developing better individual relationships. So that was what jumped out at me.
Yeah, those are great takeaways. Well, thank you to everyone for sharing. I'd like to thank our speakers and facilitators, the rest of the AAAS-IUSE team, and all of you that are able to join and participate in today's workshop.